Hey there friends, this is Philip coming to you from inside Ancient City Craftforge. Today's video is quite a bit different than anything I've done in the past because I am starting a series on introducing woodworking to children. Now, why would I do something like that? Well, after posting last week's video on how to get started in woodworking and save money at the same time, I got to thinking about children and possibly introducing children to woodworking, and started doing a little bit of reading and some research. And I came across a book by a gentleman named Otto Salomon. I'm not sure I'm pronouncing his name right, but he is a Swedish author. And in his book, he was talking about the rapid advances in technology and how those advances were causing the education system to de-emphasize hands-on work, talking a lot more about theory and abstract. And the reason he was concerned about this is because he believed, as many others, that the brain and the hands are actually linked together, and that by exercising the hands and becoming proficient with the hands, you are actually increasing your capacity to learn. And I got to thinking about that, and I said, man, this guy is so right. And I really connected with what he was saying and how that fits in with what's happening today. The thing is, he wrote that book in the 1890s. And this was a time where they were shifting from being a farm or agricultural economy to an industrial type economy. And the traditional handworking skills that were being taught to children at that time were going away. And he really saw an impact on that in the education system. So he started a movement where they wanted to re-emphasize the physical aspect, the handiwork, to help them learn, not to teach the kids a trade, because the children were expected to go into an industrial occupation, not a trades occupation, but he wanted to introduce the handwork to help stimulate their minds, to help them as they're learning math and sciences. And that theory then came across the pond, if you will, to the United States, and was really the beginning of shop classes and things like that. Well, over time, we started to de-emphasize shop classes and other manual things because our kids were expected to go into high-tech type environments. All kids were expected to go to college. But this linkage between the use of the hands and the brain has been known for centuries. In fact, the earliest recording or mention of it I was able to find was in 500 BC, a Greek philosopher, and I'm going to try and say the name, but I know I'm going to get it wrong, Anaxagoras. Okay, I can read it a whole lot better than I can say it. But this Greek philosopher said that what separates us from the animals is the fact that we have hands, and that the hands actually lead us into wisdom and knowledge. So this was 500 BC. And that has been reaffirmed many times through scientific studies and other things. I was able to find quite a bit of literature on the fact that working with your hands is actually a benefit for children that want to go into the math and sciences. Because doing woodwork in particular, but any of the crafts, helps develop a spatial acuity, which then leads to creative thinking, problem solving, and being able to visualize solutions in the real world. Okay, so this video series is going to introduce or talk about how do we introduce woodworking to children. Now, children are naturally curious. They like to make things and build things. And of course, I'm speaking in generalities here. Every child is different. Every child is unique, and we have to really tap into that. But as a general rule, children are creative and they love to make things. And usually it's not until some misplaced adult or just malevolent adult comes in and squashes that spirit, unless something like that happens, then the kid is naturally creative. I experienced this a few weeks ago when a couple of kids, a friend brought his kids into the shop and wanted to play around, and I had a craft set up for them where they were able to use their hands and make things, and they enjoyed that, and they did a good job. But when I turned them loose in my scrap bin, now this is wood that it was only in the bin because it hadn't made it to the garbage can yet. Those kids just loved it. They dug into it. They found bits and pieces, and they started making things out of materials that was really destined for the landfill, and had an absolute blast. And they made some great things. So kids have this natural curiosity and tendency to build, and it's up to us as adults to be able to foster that. Now, this video series is really going to be using simple, basic tools, inexpensive materials, and it's going to show you how you can introduce children to woodworking without being a woodworker yourself. So it's really aimed at the parent or grandparent who wants to introduce these young minds to a creative endeavor to help their mind and spirit grow without being a craftsperson themselves. So if you're an experienced woodworker or experienced craftsperson, this probably isn't a video series for you. But if you're a parent or grandparent who wants to help foster some creativity in a child, and you don't know where to start, hopefully you'll get some benefit out of this. I stumbled across a quote the other day, and I don't remember who it was from, so I can't attribute it properly, and I'm just going to have to paraphrase it because I don't remember it. But the quote basically said that for the skilled craftsperson, the skilled craftsman, the value is in the product that gets produced, or it's in the item that is actually made. But for the child craftsperson, the value is in the child itself. And I think we have an opportunity to really help build value within our kids today. Full disclosure, I am not an educator. I am not formally trained in education. I am just going to be drawing on my own experience as a dad, as a Sunday school teacher, and as a scout leader over the years, where I've worked with many children on different activities. Okay? I am not a professional woodworker. This is something I do for a hobby. It's something that I enjoy, but I'm not a professional woodworker. So you're not going to see great carpentry skills or furniture making skills, anything like that. But I do believe in our children, and I do believe that we have a responsibility to help them grow and develop. And that's what this series is all going to be all about. So over the next several weeks, I am going to introduce a series of simple projects using basic tools and inexpensive materials that can be done at any, quote, home workshop. You don't need an expensive set of tools. You don't need a dedicated space, but it could be any area of the home, garage, shed that's set aside for doing some of this work. We're going to start with the most basic project out there, and we're going to progress slightly in complexity and all that, but nothing is going to exceed the skill level of a normal child, and certainly something that all of us could help kids with. So if this is something that you're going to be interested in, or you might have some interest in, subscribe, like, save, do all the things that you know to do, so you'll get notified when the new videos come out. If you know somebody that might benefit from this, I would appreciate it if you would share the video and get them in there. The whole goal is to help our children, and I think together we can really build some value in these young craftspeople and makers. All right, thank you very much. Till next time, take care. God bless.